Thank you all for coming out and watching Aerin, Bennet, and Sachi Cruz's Supreme Court web quest video. Go learn stuff. He's beauty. He's grace. He was the second Chief Justice for the United States. But just who is he? Well, I'll tell ya. His name is John Rutledge. In 1739, September 4th to be exact, he was born in that red state over there. It's South Carolina, for those of you who didn't already know. John Rutledge's father, John Rutledge, creative, right, gave his son his early education until sadly, he died. So, Andrew Rutledge, his uncle, taught him from then on and introduced him to politics, which sparked his interest. So when he was older, John moved to England to study law at London's Middle Temple. But silly England if they thought they'd keep him there forever. After finished, he moved back to America, where he would eventually become a successful lawyer, governor, attorney general, associate justice, and eventually chief justice. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. 3 years after he moved back from England, he married Elizabeth Grimke, and together they had a whopping 10 children. That's right, 10 children. What the heck? Yeah, and he also moved into a townhouse where he basically spent the rest of his life. Moving on to his career, which started in 1761, by the way. There are a lot of important years with this dude, but I'll just tell you a few. Okay, so for 10 months in 1764, he was the provincial attorney general. Then in 1779, he was elected governor. Those both happened in South Carolina, by the way. Then from 1790 to 1791, he was the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oh, here it comes, here it comes. Okay, and in August 12, 1795, he was sworn in as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. However, that all ended December 15th of that same year, since Senate rejected his appointment because his wife died and he became super depressed and he was unstable. And he even tried to throw himself in the bay and kill himself, but 2 slaves saved him, so that didn't happen. But anyways, he did die though, July 18, 1800, at the age of 60. What a tragedy. Okay, so now it's time for the second part of our video, the Supreme Court case, and we chose Roe v. Wade. Enjoy!
Roe v. Wade was a landmark case on abortion from Texas in 1973. It was closely followed by another case often the companion case called Doe v. Bolton. The original case was filed by Norma L. McCorvey, otherwise known as Jane Roe. The attorney going against the case was Jay Floyd, who made bad jokes when it first came to court. Jay Floyd fought against 2 female attorneys in the joint case of Doe v. Bolton and Roe v. Wade. Later, when it was taken to the Supreme Court, the case was taken over by Attorney General Robert C. Flowers. This case went to the Supreme Court because it violated both the 9th and 14th Amendment, as well as violating any human being's right to privacy. When the case was decided, it was a 5-4 majority. During this time, the trimester framework also came into play. During the first trimester, it was decided that decision should be completely up to the woman. During the second trimester, while a woman's choice is compelling, it is not absolute. During the third trimester, the state's laws were more compelling than the woman's right to choose. Currently there are only 3 states in the United States that allow third trimester abortions. In the end, both Doe v. Bolton and Roe v. Wade were decided in Doe and Roe's favors. This case was also brought up when it was Planned Parenthood v. Casey in 1992. To this day, the case is still being discussed in the Supreme Court and many major functions. The end. Bye.
And that concludes our video on Chief Justice John Rutledge and Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade.